As of now, you have only theoretically, intellectually understood what individuality is. Now it's time for you to practically dive into the endless, limitless ocean called the individual. It starts by withdrawing yourself from the outer world. That is what you call your practice. You stop moving. You stop chasing things. You become still, silent, and watch. Irrespective of the technique that you have picked up, the process is to watch what is happening on the inside. Now, what is the inside? When you sit still and close your eyes, everything that is happening after that is inside. It is an arbitrary division because you could be sitting in meditation, your eyes can be closed, but your mind can be somewhere else. But you have to make this arbitrary separation and say, turning inward means sitting still and looking inward. To observe your thoughts. That is the next platform. Now, how do you recognize progress on this platform? How do you know you're moving in the right direction? First is the level of chaos, the level of confusion you experience, the level of disturbance you experience increases tremendously. It does not reduce. Why doesn't it reduce? Because you are looking at the mind, the functioning of the mind from inside. And your mind is the seat of chaos. Your mind is the seat of confusion. Your mind is its own master. It is a living, breathing, independent entity on its own. The deeper you go into meditation, the more you will understand about the mind. Understanding the mind will be the longest, the hardest part of your meditation journey. There is no way to skip this step. There is no way to escape the torture of the mind and get to your true self, because it is your mind that is blocking your perception of your true self. So you have to spend considerable amount of time understanding the mind from every angle. You have to understand it theoretically, you have to understand it intellectually, you have to understand it experientially. And there is a big difference between right knowledge and right experience. As Mark Twain once said, the difference between the right word and the nearly right word is the same as that between lightning and the lightning bug. The difference between understanding your mind intellectually and understanding it experientially is pretty much the same difference between a lightning bug and lightning. They have some similar properties, but they both are completely different. Theoretical understanding of the mind is just to get you started on the journey, get you going, at least to know what is it that I'm looking for, what is my inquiry. Theoretical understanding can never replace your practical experiential understanding of the mind. And the only way to experientially understand mind is to dive into it, is to fall into the chaos. You have to go deeper into the mind. You have to allow the mind to touch you. You have to allow the mind to penetrate your being. You have to allow the mind to disturb you. Because as long as that tendency still exists of the mind to disturb you, you cannot move to the next step. You cannot even understand what the next step is. So mind has to be understood thoroughly. Now, there are two primary approaches to understanding the mind. One is just a pure scientific way of looking at it. And then there is a deeper meditative or yogic way of looking at it. So most books we read on the nature of the mind, how it functions, what is its purpose, it comes from external observation. It is useful in the beginning. It will help us categorize the mind. It will help us to start looking at it in the right way. But you cannot stop there. You have to go into a deeper meditative understanding of the mind, the yogic understanding of the mind, to really see how it's functioning. So scientists unanimously agree that mind is made up of two very distinct parts: the autonomous or automatic and the deliberate. The automatic part of the mind is what you would call instinctive mind. The reactions are automatic, immediate, and you have very little control over them. And most of these activities happen in the subconscious mind, where you cannot even see how it's happening, why it's happening. You only take note of it after it has happened. For example, you're taking a walk and you see a snake and you just jump. It's only after you jump you realize that you actually saw a snake and your mind saw that as a threat, and it created a signal first in the world of imagination. Actually, it jumped inside before the body saw that and replicated it. If you watch what has happened there, a whole process has happened. Perception has happened. Remembering has happened. Because how can you be afraid if you cannot remember a past experience of what a snake is? And then there is the signal sent to the mind, that part of the mind, to create an image of response. So even the response has happened there. Finally, your body has just followed the instructions. Because it has happened in the subconscious, you realize it only later. Similarly, thirst, hunger. Most of our biological processes, process of healing, they all happen in the subconscious, which happens without your permission. And then, of course, there is the deliberate mind, which you have some control over, where you have enough time to watch, to direct, to make changes, and to observe the entire process. Your planning, your ability to think about the future, your ability to understand your life by comparing it to someone else. All these are deliberate parts of the mind. This distinction is important to understand because what scientists are saying is there is a part of your mind, in fact, a very important part of your mind, that is responsible for most of your instinctive reactions, and you aren't even aware of it. What you are aware of is a very tiny part of that mind. So, there you are being introduced to the idea that most of your mind is actually hidden. What you recognize as your mind is only the deliberate part of the mind, is that part of the mind that you have some control over. If mind is an entire ocean, you are only aware of the waves. That is the only part you can control, the moving part, the changing part that you can observe. The real depth of the mind, subconscious and unconscious, are very deep. Now, that is where your life is actually being shaped. So, in a way, what you're being told is because you don't know this part of your mind that makes up most of your mind, you don't know that part of you, and hence the need to go deeper and understand the mind. Just that simple distinction between the automatic and the deliberate mind should tell you that I don't know my mind. I know something about it. And then you inquire, go deeper. That's when we get to the yogic understanding of the mind. The yogic understanding of the mind is spectacular. It is complete. Without understanding these deeper structures of the mind, you will always be struggling with it. You will not know what is control, what is decision making, where does the mind begin, and where does it end, and where do you begin and where do you end.